And welcome to the nightclub inside the Torrequebrada Hotel, just round the corner from Torremolinos on Spain's Costa del Sol. Hello, good evening to you. For the first time ever, Britain could have two reigning world middleweight champions. In superb style at the packed National Exhibition Centre last weekend, Chris Eubank sees his chance, and Chris and his fiancée Karen are here at ringside tonight. A very different setting, but still it's the biggest prize of all, waiting for Herol Graham, the stylish British champion. Now, if you're a bit confused about the overall world middleweight picture, let me just refresh your memories. Michael, second to none, he's the International Boxing Federation, the IBF champion at 11-6. Mike McCallum, who outpointed Graham last year, he's the WBA champ, the World Boxing Association. Chris Eubank has taken the World Boxing Organisation, the WBO title from Nigel Benn. Tonight's fight is for the vacant World Boxing Council. Julian Jackson stands between Graham and glory. Bomber Graham, the 31-year-old Sheffield southpaw, has only lost twice on split decisions to world champions. He's a great technician, but knows he must produce the goods tonight to leapfrog into the big time and the big money.
This fight tonight is very, very important to me, really. It's one of the fights which have been championships which have been eluding me, the World Championship. I've got all the others, the British, European, Commonwealth. Now I want the World Championship. So it is very important for me, for one of my goals, which I'm aiming for, to lift the World Championship tonight.
Julian Jackson has only been beaten by the brilliant McCallum. He was a fearsome puncher at light middleweight. Now, the board won't allow him to fight in Britain after an eye operation. Jackson insists there's no problem. He's expecting a great fight tonight.
Oh man, it's going to be action from the round one, you know, and Herol Graham will definitely be on the bike. I know that. And any mistake made by him, I will definitely be there to take the opportunity. And I'm expecting a beautiful fight. I'm expecting a technical fight, and it's going to be one of the best fights Europe have ever seen.
Well, we're all set here waiting for the arrival of the two fighters. It's a very different setting to the NEC. Less than 1,000 people inside this casino hotel on the Costa del Sol. Herol Graham, for my money, really deserves a world title. He served his time in this boxing trade, over 300 rounds as a pro, 12 years as a professional too. Led out by Brendan Ingle, his longtime trainer and mentor. Here comes the bomber, Herol Graham. Union Jacks inside the ring, and quite a lot of supporters come from Sheffield. He'll carry most support here in Spain tonight. Herol Bomber Graham. It's a sizable ring here, and that'll suit the fleet-footed, artful skills of Herol Graham, respected so much inside the trade. In fact, it's worth stressing that both Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, they really don't want to face him in the same ring. Had a word with him yesterday. In fact, he's been working out inside a squash court a few miles away from here. Had his fight face on, and deep down he knows that he has got to overcome this fella. Julian Jackson from the Virgin Islands. A family man, father of 5, Julian Jackson. A bit like Herol Graham, the big publicity and the big money hasn't come his way yet. And at 30, well, time's running out for him as well. Okay, let's pop over the balcony from my position and join your big fight commentators at ringside. Jim Watt, and first of all, let's say a very good evening to Reg Guttridge.
Well, hello then, and draw up a very cosy ringside seat with us here in this rather remarkable hotel and site for a championship of the world. They had problems putting it on, couldn't go on in Britain, so it's come here with the Matchroom Barry Hearn Promotions. And as Jim Rosenthal was saying, there's been no bad mouthing between the boxers, and that's always a pleasure because they're both very good technicians. I wouldn't want to say compare this with the sort of rough and tumble and excitement that we had only a week ago with Ben and Eubank, because these are entirely different type of boxers. So over to the MC, Nat Basso.
Gentlemen, please. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, Ballyhill's Matchroom, in association with Jack Trickett, proudly presents the main event of the evening, sponsored by Stormsteel. A 12-round international middleweight contest of 3 minutes each round at 11 stone 6 pound for the vacant WBC Middleweight Championship of the world, between and introducing to you, with a record of 42 contests, 41 wins, 40 by the KO, the WBA light middleweight champion of the world from the Virgin Islands, USA, Julian Jackson. And in this corner, with a record of 45 contests, 43 wins, 26 by stoppages, the middleweight champion of Great Britain and the former middleweight champion of Europe from Sheffield in England, Herol. Ladies and gentlemen, your officials appointed by the WBC, your judges are from California, USA, Rudy Ortega; from Mexico, Jose Buen Guiada; from New Jersey, USA, Trump Galvanic; and your referee from New Jersey, USA, Joe Cortez. The WB sponsor is Ruben Martinez from Spain, and your representative for the British Boxing Board of Control is the General Secretary, Mr. John Morris, and your timekeeper is Francisco Morales of Spain.
So the rundown then from Joe Cortez, comes from New Jersey, the referee. He handled the Jim McDonnell and Azuma Nelson contest, among many others. He's done a couple of Tyson fights, I remember.
Three knockdown rules been waived up to my discretion. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
So a friendly good luck to both of you then from referee Cortez. And now he's been in a melting pot plenty of times now, Herol Graham, and at 31 it's got to be perhaps his last fling. But he's the most experienced of the active British boxers at championship level. He's fought 3 15-rounders in the old days, more than any other active British boxer. But this is 12 for the opening round. Well, Jackson there, obviously in the gold and the southpaw style of Graham in the fancy pants. Seen Jackson a couple of times, and I can tell you he is a really good puncher, solid puncher. Not the greatest of names in the middleweight division, but he could easily be, because he gets people duck him a little bit. And moving up from the light middleweight to the full middleweight division, and of course the championship is vacant, so they're splitting the matchroom purse right down the middle, which in dollars came to $223,000. I make that about £56,000 each.
Well, it's a more aggressive start from Graham Regg than we expected, and obviously more aggressive than Jackson expected. So Graham's standing his ground, he's pushing Jackson back, Jackson with the more punching power, so good tactics in the first round from Graham.
It's going to be very much of a chess match contest, Jim, this one, isn't it? Because they're both correct boxers.
Yeah, well, although Graham is known as a counter-puncher, he has a good style. He actually can come forward, draw leads and counter-punch, although he's coming forward, and that's how he started the first round here. He's standing his ground, edging forward, trying to draw leads from Jackson.
Well, I don't know if there's anything seriously wrong with his eyesight, but there was with that punch. Mile away there, Jackson. sort of got mad with himself there, Jim, for missing, didn't he, Jackson? And threw a few wild punches afterwards.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to have to get used to that because, as we very well know, Graham is the hardest man in the business to catch with clean shots. And if you catch him with one, almost impossible to double up on it.
Oh, yes, he's definitely a ring Houdini, isn't he, Graham? Remember, he lost a split verdict to Mike McCallum, who's one of the best ring generals around, actually, in his last championship bid in London, and would have won it but for being a point taken away for cautioning.
This is good stuff from Graham this early. He's standing his ground. He's not allowing Jackson to push him back and get leverage into his own punching. This good start, very accurate with it. He's not putting a lot of power into his punches, but accurate and keeping his man confused.
The art of this game is to hit without being hit, and he's good at that, Graham. So the end of the first, and a good start by the British champion. So only 2 losses when you think of it. It's quite an amazing record, and both of them were world champions, Mike McCallum and Sumbu Kalumbay. He became world champion against Kalumbay. And over to Jackson's corner then, and he's only lost the 1. Remember, that's really going some, isn't it? And he gave up the light middleweight championship, defended it twice, and his last fight was back in June. That was his first at the middleweight, 11 stone 6 division, and both boxers are exactly 11 stone 6.
Segundo fuera.
All right, seconds out.
So coming out early for play here, round 2. A bit of a frustrating touch about Jackson there, Jim. I'm a bit surprised.
Jackson was a little bit slow off the mark in the first round. He didn't try. I mean, maybe this is the way he does business. Maybe he just tries to pot shot in the first round, but he didn't do a lot of work. Already he seems to be trying to liven up, but and he's blinking his eye, Reg. I wonder if he's got eye damage already.
Well, that's a really bad sign for Jackson there. He's closing it to him as though he's caught it with a thumb, but that really shouldn't happen because these glove thumbs are attached.
Well, this is excellent news for Graham. Already Jackson's complaining. He's backing off out. He's just really covering up. He's not really throwing anything. And I don't think he's trying to sucker Graham forward. I think he has trouble with that left eye.
He came obviously with ophthalmologist clearances and specialists at his eyesight, and the detached retina had healed properly. So that possibly could have happened to him even without already having the eye problem, because there's a swelling there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a little swelling just in the soft tissue immediately below the eye. It's maybe just the edge of the glove that's caught him there. But Graham wants to be nice and careful as he usually is. Doesn't want to run onto anything here.
Well, that's really making him, if you'll forgive the expression, a mug, isn't it there, Jackson? He fell right across the ring. His only loss was again to Mike McCallum, who both of them have now has beaten both of them.
Well, having trouble with the left eye against the southpaw jab of Herol Graham, Reg, you don't have your troubles to seek.
And there's no 3 knockdown rule here. You may have seen in other contests, if a man goes down 3 times in 1 round, it's stopped. It's not in effect here. And this is the most prestigious, I think, of the World Championships, the World Boxing Council, which was partly formed by Britain's Boxing Board of Control.
You see Jackson has switched round, Reg. He's standing southpaw now. I don't know if that's because of the eye. Maybe he reckons he can see better out the right eye, but that wouldn't do his technique a lot of good.
No, he really does have a problem there, Jackson, so early in the contest. The takes a good, correct, sharp puncher, doesn't it, Jim, to catch Graham at the best. And if he's already under handicap, Jackson.
Yes, even when you catch Graham, he's pulling away from the punch and taking some of the sting. An excellent start in this contest for Herol Graham.
Joe Cortez picking up the judges, and there it is then. And they'll need that little end swell. They're trying to work that away there. Soft tissue, as Jim Watt said. And there it is. It's quite a nasty start for him. They drop that in the ice bucket and hold it on there and apply a lot of pressure. But it looks as though the eye itself was hurt there, Jim, doesn't it? Not just the swelling.
Yeah, well, you have to remember what it does to his mind. He knows he's had trouble with his eye, and then that happens. So psychologically, it was a big dip. So you can see as it comes here, he starts blinking and really looked a little bit worried about what was going on there. Lost all his rhythm.
Again, they've got to wait for the bell. There's a little bit of confusion with the Spanish timekeeper, I suspect. So third round. And really, Jim, it's almost like one of Graham's calculated workouts at the moment. He's not extending himself at all.
Yep, and the right jab's working well, Reg. He does pull his head up high. That's still a danger against this fellow, but he's always done that, Reg. He's never been stopped or knocked out yet. So who am I to criticise? But now and again, he does put his chin in dangerous territory.
In the previous fight today, saw Jackson. He didn't box in the southpaw stance, so I don't know whether he was a natural southpaw and then converted.
I think he switched round because of the eye, Reg. I think maybe he reckons his vision will be better looking out of his right eye. But if he's not a natural southpaw, then he's going to have a lot of trouble catching this man, Graham. So again, Graham head in the wrong position there, but he managed to block the punch. He really does take some chances pulling his chin back up so high.
Oh, look at that one. He pulled him under that punch all right, didn't he? As he walked under it, I should say there. It was a good shot by Graham. Comes from the Don King promotional camp, managed by his son Carl King, who's here, and they rated Jackson very highly and fancied his luck here. They were very confident coming into the fight. It's a different story now.
Well, Graham's confidence really must be bulging now, Reg. Things are going well for him. He's just shaking Jackson with a nice little counter punch. Everything going smoothly. He just wants to carry on being nice and careful.
Well, he certainly had to wait a long time, and well, it's still got a while to go yet in this fight, of course. I think he's just about completed 304 rounds now with this round in his pro career. He went 10 years without losing a decision from amateurs. Jimmy Harrington, I think it was, back in 77, and then Callum Bay in 87. That's quite a record. He should have had a championship by now. Keeps jockeying around with British and European as he wants, Graham. Well, they seem to have got some of that swelling down. Jim, what's your opinion there?
Well, it certainly hasn't got any worse, thankfully, for Jackson's case. I don't know if they've actually got the swelling down, but the main thing is it hasn't worsened. But I don't know how he feels leading with this right hand of his.
And have a look at this replay now again there. See, that was there. He really was off balance and he was definitely hurt with that shot. Clean as a whistle he looks, doesn't he? Nothing, no problem there. And Referee Joe Cortez has actually gone over to have a look at Jackson. There's the referee looking in. And he can call the doctor for a second opinion if he wants to. Take time off, he's saying to the timekeeper. Yes, and looks like he's taken the doctor, called the doctor up for an opinion. But the referee makes the final choice. Round 4. Oh, that was one of Graham's shoves there, a bit obvious. Sporting touch though.
Well, Jackson back to orthodox again, Reggie. Maybe he means business. Maybe he's going to really have a go in this round. He's maybe thinking that time is really running out with that eye injury. I don't know what the doctor has said to him.
See, switching stance again, Jim.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's back to his old style out of the orthodox lead. Maybe he reckons he's going to have to throw everything into attack and try and get Graham out of there. With that eye injury, the doctor looking at it in between rounds is obviously added to his concern. See, Graham's keeping him off balance all the time, Reg. He's not getting any power into his punches. He can't put punches together. Graham's there, then he's off. He's peppering him with little southpaw leads. Good boxing from Graham.
I have to confess to him, there have been times I've seen Graham and he's disappointed me a bit, but he's as sharp as a tack for this one, isn't he?
Yeah, but and the good thing tonight, Reg, he hasn't got on his bike, he hasn't been running around the ring keeping out of trouble. He's been standing right in front of Jackson, actually backing him up for most of the time. And this is good stuff here. He's pinning Jackson, drawing little leads and thumping home counter punches.
Using every inch. Oh, what a punch! I can't believe that. Never been stopped in his career, and he's out to the world, winning every round there, Herol Graham. Jim, have you ever seen such a turnaround? I did say at the start of the show, by the way, that I knew he was a good puncher, but as the contest went on, I thought there was no chance of him catching Graham.
Well, Reg, as we said earlier, Graham, he puts his chin in places your chin should not be. He did it once too often, and Jackson caught with that one. All through the fight, he just had his chin a whisker away from Jackson's counter punches, but that was a perfect punch, and really before he hit the floor, he was completely out, no hope of beating the count, and Jackson really pulled that one out of the fire. He was in trouble himself, well behind in points, but at long last, Graham's lack of a tight defence has let him down, again at top level, Reg.
Well, I know he was a quality fighter, but he just didn't know how to catch up with Graham. But when he did, what a payoff punch that is, and certainly with obviously an impaired vision, whatever happens, but he got to him in the end there, Jackson, and leaving Graham in the ring, turned him on his side. It's a normal procedure, but as he hit the deck, Jim, I mean, he was out long before he hit the canvas.
Yeah, well, I was impressed the way Graham was holding the ring and backing Jackson up, but in the end, actually, that's been his undoing. As I say, his chin was far too high. You got to be showing forehead to a good puncher. See, up he goes, his chin goes high. See, there it is, where it has been so often in the past. Jackson took full advantage of it, gone before he hit the floor.
And there it is again from another angle, and whatever you look at, it's a devastating punch. His head crashed into the canvas, which obviously has a rubber padding underneath and needs it. Bobby Lewis, trainer there, he's worked, this fellow here, he's worked with Michael Dokes and Ron Lyle. He's an old warrior in this game. So it's no use saying, Jim, that was the plan, because it looked as though he was never going to catch Graham, but when he did, the only real punch he's landed.
Yeah, well, it's really the first time that he caught Graham's chin cleanly. As I say, Graham couldn't have boxed any better. His tactics were good, everything was good, but we did comment earlier on that once or twice his chin was just too high and he pulls away from punches. But this fellow must have tremendous power, because he didn't set himself for that punch. He just came out of its own accord, and as soon as it landed, Reggie, the fight was over.
He's been in there a long time, Jim. That's very concerned about that, aren't you? Obviously, they don't get them out. We know now that for the last few years, they won't haul them out of the ring as they did in those bad old days, actually dragging them out. And maybe the doctors wants to leave him, make sure he can breathe properly.
Yeah, well, they do encourage fighters who have been caught with punches like that to stay on the floor a few minutes longer, lie on their side so they can breathe properly, their tongue doesn't foul up. I think he's fully conscious. I can see some movement there, but I think they're just keeping him down just to give him time to get his head clear. But it was a tremendous punch, and he was completely relaxed as he went over, and I think his head landed on the canvas too, which didn't help his troubles.
And once more, Jim, with the overhead camera there, as you say, he just pulled his head up a bit like a weather vane there, and bang, I mean, he just collapsed.
See, it's an amazing punch because Jackson was actually off balance slightly himself, but he drew the punch all the way back. But see, there's Graham up now. Thankfully, he seems to be responding to the doctor.
He's being very firm with him, the doctor, too. Testing the vision there. Manager Brendan Ingle, obviously, by his side. The same manager is actually technically the trainer. The manager, Barney Eastwood, is in the audience. Well, he's being very composed about it, Jim. He's not showing off. He's a nice professional attitude from a champion, that, with Jackson, isn't it? He's waiting until the man gets out of the ring safely.
Yeah, and I think he must be slightly relieved, Reg, because nothing was going his way. He was injured. He was behind in points. He wasn't really making any headway. He couldn't solve his man out, and he wins by a one-punch knockout.
In 1 minute, 13 seconds of the 4th round, the new WBC Middleweight Champion of the world, Julian Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, not forgetting your appreciation for a very, very fine loser.
Well, Julian, a big smile, and you're the new world champion, but for quite a while tonight, you must have thought you wouldn't get your hands on that belt.
Well, I had no doubt in my mind. Herol Graham caught me some good punch, but I realized that the punches weren't as effective as I thought they would have been. You know, he stunned me a few times, but I had my faculties together. And I was just waiting for that opportunity when I landed my shot. You know, he moved pretty well, and believe me, he surprised me when he stood in the middle of the ring. I expected him to move, so he threw me off, you know, and it took me a while to really get my things together.
But we weren't just viewing the fight through British eyes. I would think most people around ringside here would have had you 3 rounds down when you landed that vital punch.
Oh, definitely. I knew I was behind, you know, I knew, but I kept on him. I kept the pressure on him, and I knew sometime in the ring or in the fight I would have got my shot off.
Well, we all wondered if you still had the power as a middleweight, and I think if you look down here now, you'll be able to see that you pack a fair old dig, Julian. No one's ever done that to him before.
I know that. Woo, that was a beauty. I must say, I was timing him. I was timing him while I was going back in the corner, and I kept my eyes on him until he made that drop to throw his left hook to deliver his punch, and he was open, and I threw the right hook and caught him flush on the chin.
You turned the fight upside down, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I know he was very, very confident, you know. He felt that he had everything in control, but I knew what I had to do in order to get my punch off.
Did you feel you had to do it very, very quickly with a view to that, to the way that
I realized that I had to put the pressure on him because my eye was closing pretty fast. And I know I had to get him before, you know, it got in the later rounds, because I probably wouldn't have been able to see through his eyes, you know. But thank God, and I give him all the glory and all the praise in the world. For he is King, and he is Lord of Lords.
Right, I can't compete with that, but you said you got to feed your wife and 5 kids back home, didn't you?
Yes, and I dedicate this to the Lord and Savior of my life, and to my baby girl, Joy, Sister Joy. I'm coming home with the WBC Middleweight Championship of the world.
You've done it. Well done. Let's just bring Barry Hearn in here. Barry, obviously mixed feelings about this one, because you must have felt, Barry, that Herol Graham was going to be another British world champion.
Well, it looked like it, didn't it? But Jackson's so dangerous with that right hand, and maybe a moment of lack of concentration, perhaps, I don't know, of Herol. So far in front, hadn't lost a round. This guy can punch. But I'd like to see him in the ring with Mr. Eubank.
You think that'll be a possibility to unify a couple of the titles anyway?
Well, Eubank, the WBO champion, Julian Jackson, the WBC. It's a huge money fight. Don King is not averse to making a few dollars. And I think Mr. Eubank put him in his place nicely. You know, this guy's a puncher, but Chris will do a demolition job on him. But tonight belongs to Julian Jackson.
It does indeed. What do you feel now about Herol Graham's future at the age of 31, Barry?
Well, you know, Herol's got to wonder whether he's ever going to get another chance. It's very unlikely, I think, and he's going to have to take a long, hard look at his career tonight. He's going to be very disappointed, but, you know, that's boxing.
That's right. A few jaws dropped open at ringside when that happened, yours included.
Well, he was out in mid-air, Herol. It was one of the hardest punches I've ever seen thrown by a middleweight.
It was. OK, Barry Hearn, thanks very much indeed. So there we are. We have a new world champion from Spain. It's Julian Jackson from the Virgin Islands, and our commiserations, of course, go out to Herol Graham, flattened for the first time in his boxing career. We've got more boxing, though, coming up in a couple of minutes' time with Michael Watson, a fellow who could well be on the world scene sometime in the new year. We'll be right back with that.